embrace the different, accept the unique. With this motto, the Spectrum-Autism team is working towards creating awareness around autism spectrum disorder. Hi, my name is Shivali, and I welcome you to Talk to the Expert series. In this series, the guest who is joining us is N. Johnson. N is a counseling psychologist by profession and is a passionate speaker who motivates people, and she loves to help people reach out to them so that they attain their maximum potential. Special need kids is another area of interest for N, and she likes to work to support the parents and to make the world a happier place for them as well. She strongly believes that everyone is special. She likes to make a difference in their life, to be ready to become a game changer, like she says. So on this note, I would invite N. Johnson to this platform of the Spectrum-Autism, as I said, a support group which is committed to work towards creating awareness around autism. Let's start this conversation with N. Johnson. Hi, N.
Hi, Shivani. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so we would really appreciate if you can give us a brief about yourself. What is your area of expertise and what you do, which makes you such a popular person in the fraternity that you're working?
Yes. I'm basically from India, and currently I am based in UAE, Sharjah. I started my career as a child psychologist back in India. Then when I moved to UAE, I started my profession as a school counselor in one of the schools in Abu Dhabi. Now I am based in Sharjah and working as a special educator, working closely with the students with special needs and with their families, because working just with special needs, it's not going to support, as we all know. So when I tie up with the families, I can see the change that's happening in the students. And I'm a person who is passionate about psychology and mental health. So any opportunity that I get to raise the awareness among the people about the mental health and supporting students with special needs, I take it as it's a blessing for me, in other words. And one thing to start with, I would like to tell you that in the place where I am located, we don't call these students as students with special needs. We call them as students of determination. So that itself is a great kick. I feel the way that we talk to the people. When we talk, we don't even use the word special with students with special needs. We always call them students of determination. So that itself gives the parents also a great happiness, and they feel that, yes, we are determined to do something or the other in the society.
Super, super. I think that itself is such a positive affirmation to give that students of determination. So that's such a wonderful thought. So, and this, as you are aware, that this group is about creating awareness for autism. While when you work in a school where you're working as a counselor, you come across with a lot of other learning disabilities also. So I would request you to take us through on how autism is different from the other learning disabilities, and then maybe we can start with the questions that the team has.
Sure, Shivani. Whenever I see this group and its activities in the Facebook, I should say that I am so moved by the way that you all come together and trying to spread the awareness about autism or any other learning disabilities or about mental health, I would say. Because there's one question which always come to me when I am working in this part of the country. I always wonder what's happening back in India. Because I know that when I'm working with students, even though I am working in an India-based, an Indian curriculum school, I support these students. So I always look back and think what's happening back in India, what's happening in the schools where I was studying. So looking at a group like this, that itself shows me or gives me a lot of hope. Showing that yes, something is going on there and people are aware of it. So just to start with, I wanted to say big thank you to all of you. So coming back to the question, since I'm working with students of determination in the school level, there are different issues that I can see in the school specifically. If I'm looking at it, if I'm looking just into the schools where I was working, you can see that the most of the population those students that who come under the students of determination, like they are of students with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's a commonly found issue that I can see in the schools. Another one is learning disability and autism. There's one more, which is a more challenging one, is the cognitive issues. The students with a borderline IQ who are finding things difficult to memorize or to retain their information, all those things. So ADHD, as you all must be aware of, like it's an attention and hyperactivity. The children, it comes in two ways. One is students with ADHD, they're having only inattention. They are not hyperactive. If you look at that child in the classroom, the child will be sitting. The child will not run around as we think, because whenever we hear the word ADHD, we think that those children will be always running around. But that's not the case. Most of the cases, these children with only inattentive type ADHD, they will be sitting in the place without making any trouble for the others, but they will be always in another world, in the sense like they dream a lot. They need a lot of constant trigger or that prompts to come back to class, or to listen to the teacher, or to respond to the teacher. So these are the children who will be struggling a bit in their studies. Why? Because they are listening, but they are not able to focus. And because they lack focus and attention, they are not able to grasp things, and they are not able to retain the information. Another side is the hyperactive children, where that we can actually see most of them are in their young ages, like we can see in the kindergarten and in the primary schools. These children with hyperactivity are more. What happens when they come to adolescent ages, it's not that they coming out of hyperactivity, but they learn to manage their hyperactivity sitting in one place. But if you we have in my school, like I walk into the classes to see like how children are doing, and what happens is it's easily we can make out if the child is having hyperactivity or not. They won't be sitting. Even if they are sitting, they will be doing this. They will be rocking their chair. They won't be, or they will be having something or the other in their hand, and they will be playing with that. Okay, so what happens is they know how to manage sitting in the seat. Being in the seat, they know to manage. But it's evident that they are having the issue of hyperactivity or difficulty in focusing. So another thing what we can do, that is about ADHD. Another issue that I can see very commonly in the schools, which goes unidentified, is the learning disability. It always goes unidentified. Like if you all look back into your lives only, if you will be able to relate to some of the things that was happening in your life. Like for example, if you think about, there are children who are good in understanding. You teach that child, the child will learn quickly, but you tell the child to write the exam, the child may fail in the exam. You tell the child to read out something, the child will find it very stressful. The child get anxious. And what happens is, usually what happens is the teachers say that, oh, you are lazy. You are not trying to learn. Why are you not studying? Why are you not getting good marks in the class? You are not putting an effort. These kind of words, when it struck these students with learning disability, let me tell you, it's very heartening for them. Why? Because they are having, this is one point which I always talk to the parents, where I talk to these children with learning disability, they are always with average intelligence or above average intelligence. But if you do not support the child, if you do not give accommodations and modifications in the school, after identification of this learning disability, what happens is they will be always the failure in the school. Because in the schools in India, or if it's UAE, if it's an Indian curriculum school, we all look into the mark scores that they get after the exam. Correct. So what happens, these children are not able to write. They're not able to express what they know. They know the answers. So that's one, that's called accommodations and modifications in the school. Like that's what we give in a school to support or to make the school inclusive. So what's the meaning of inclusive these days? In most of the areas, we all are into a very developed stage. But what about the things when it comes to students who are having learning disability or ADHD or autism? Are we including them in our normal curriculum schools? So this is what we have to actually give an awareness to schools in India, back in India also. Like we have to include them. But if we include them, we have to be very careful, because we need to raise that awareness first in the school level, because teachers should know that this child is not just lazy, the child has some other issue. So if a child is not performing, something that we have to think very carefully is why the child is not able to perform. Is the child not putting an effort, or the child is putting an effort and still the child is not able to perform? Then why? That's the question. Because as a psychologist, as a counselor, when I am appointed in a school, I don't go and teach subjects in the class. But what we do is, what I give a lot of importance in the schools is like identify. We have to teach teachers, as you people are now, you have come up with a lot of passion to learn about it. So when you learn things, actually you have to go that keep that drive going into the schools, talking to the management, saying that let teachers get educated first about different learning issues that the children are having. So once teachers get educated, teachers try to understand, oh my God, so this child where I kept on scolding for not doing mathematics. It's not because the child was not studying, but it was because the child was having learning disability in math. For the child who is having a learning disability in math, how much ever you do, whatever you want to do, you scold or you punish the child or you encourage the child, whatever you do, the child will not be able to do if because it's a learning issue with the child, specifically in math. So, I can relate easily with the film. If you must have seen Tare Zameen Par, in that film, the child who struggles a lot, and how the hero is coming with the ideas of what it is. So that kind of awareness, I still think, if you just show that film to the entire school and talk to them about it, that's it. I think we will be able to do a lot.
And I have a question here. When you mentioned that learning disability in a particular subject, so is it there that kids will have learning disability in different subjects? Is it to do with the logical ability that the child needs to apply for a subject, or it is learning disability as such, and then it reflects in different subjects when we see the child performing?
I'll tell you. This When we have to understand learning disability comes basically in 4 areas. One is reading, another one is writing, mathematics, learning disability in math, and there is one more thing called dyspraxia. So the other names are learning disability in reading is dyslexia, and the learning disability in writing, this is dysgraphia. The children will be finding the spellings too difficult to write, and the written expression will be difficult. And another one is dyscalculia, which is learning disability in mathematics. So as you asked, there is no learning disability specifically for science, English, and like that, but learning disability in math is there, because when it comes to numbers, they struggle a lot. When it comes to even the basic calculation, even if I sit with a child who is in grade 8, and if the child is having learning disability in math, the child will still struggle in the basic calculations. Even addition, the subtractions, how to carry over, how to borrow, all those things these children will be getting confused. That's why it's called learning disability in mathematics, in math basically. And another one is dyspraxia, where the children will be having issues with coordination, the muscle coordinations. So if you throw the ball and how the child is able to catch the muscle movements, how do they coordinate themselves? Okay, so there are 4 areas basically in learning disability which we have to look into when we are trying to identify a learning disability.
Ma'am, my question is, what are the things you keep in mind before counseling the kid or the parent, and what are the challenges you face during the counseling sessions?
Are you asking about the general counseling sessions?
Regarding learning disability or autism, like all these things, general also, and in terms of autism or learning disability.
Okay. So you are looking into, I'm just clarifying the question. So you are looking into how do we, as a professional, that's what you're thinking, right? As a professional. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. When it comes to counseling is a very professional area, even though we use that term counseling for each and everything. Sometimes people say that, yes, I counsel the person, or maybe we have just spoken to the child, or we will say that, yes, I have given my counseling to the child and the child is better. Okay, so counseling it's a profession. It's a profession like a doctor. I have to say that. Okay, so if any of you are interested in counseling, the first thing that I have to encourage you is do a professional course in counseling. Okay, because it will give you a lot of clarity on what real counseling is. Okay, and counseling, there are some skills that every counselor should have. Or if you think that counseling is advising, you are wrong, because counseling is not advising. Counseling is not giving suggestions. Counseling is giving solution. It's not even giving solutions. It's a facilitator. Counselor is actually a facilitator. The person, let it be any person, they have the skill to understand the potential that they have inside. They have that. They have the strength. The only thing is we need to show them what their strengths are. Okay, so it's a kind of facilitator. So coming to the skills, like there are a few skills that you have to focus on. Like the first thing that you have to think about is building a rapport with the client. Rapport meaning a good relationship with the person with whom you are talking. So if you do not have that rapport, how much ever you try, you will not get anything out of the person. You will not be able to support the person in any ways. So making that rapport is the most important thing in counseling. So once that rapport is built, okay, so I can say that like it's a skill. At the same time, it's an inborn skill also, I can say that. For some people, they have it in them. Like you talk to that person for 5 minutes, actually you will make a good relationship with that person. You just need 5 minutes. Okay, so in that area, I can clearly say that. So when I started learning counseling, I can relate with what happened to me. When I started learning counseling, I started to think that, oh, this is actually a skill in counseling, but I already have that. Okay, so that was how I came to this. Okay, I was more passionate about it. That's why I was telling you, there are some people who are actually having that inborn skill. So if you really have that, like for example, rapport building. Another one is making, what do you say, accepting the person unconditionally. Like that's called unconditional positive regard in counseling. Okay, so whatever the person comes and tells you, okay, so you do not judge the person, you accept the person as he is, and you will be talking to the person. Okay, so that will work wonders when we do in counseling. Okay, another one is what do you say, kind of listening skills, the communication skills. What we try to do always is we try to give advices, we try to talk to, even if it's children, like we start talking to them saying, do that, don't do this, or try in this way, maybe it will work. So we are giving a lot of suggestions, but counseling is more of listening, not much of talking. So I would always say, or I always used to reflect on myself thinking that counseling is actually, I don't know if it's studies have actually proven this or not, but I can tell you it will actually match with the people who are having personality, who are a little bit of introverted kind of personality. Okay, why? Because they don't like much to talk. They want to listen, they want to hear from others, and they're happy about it. And for those people, the counseling will do wonders for them, because it's very easy for them. They don't have that tendency to talk. Okay, they are patient, they have the time. Okay, they will say that, okay, yeah, talk to me, tell me. And there is another skill called paraphrasing. Like but these are different skills in counseling. Okay, I encourage you again to go and do a counseling course if you're looking to become a counselor, because just you need to just know the theory, because the practice will come. Practice will come once we start doing it, but knowing the theory is important. So when we talk to a parent, what happens is, the first thing, as you asked, the first thing is building a rapport with the parent. Let it be a parent of a child with special needs. Let it be a child who is having a behavioral issue, showing some tantrums in the school, or it can be a family, it can be a couple. There is family counseling happening these days. So whatever is the thing, that building that trust, the person, the client or the patient should feel that trust in you. They should be able to relate with you. If the person is able to relate with you, it's very easy. Then the thing will go very smoothly. So that's the first thing that we have to make sure that we make that connection with that person, so that the person will be comfortable talking to us, and the person should also feel that you're genuine. That's very important. If you try to act, or if you try to act in front of people saying that, oh, I am this, or It's very easy. So there comes the importance of body language. Since you asked about this question about counseling, that's my area of passion. Okay, that's why it keeps coming. So it's about body language. So from your body language, even if you are a professional in psychology or a counseling, the person, the client can pick your body language very easily. Imagine you get a phone call, okay, and then you take the call and you start talking to the person, okay. It shows that the person who is sitting in front of you is not important for you. Am I right? And then the same way, like if you're talking, if the person is talking to you, and if you're just sitting still without showing any expressions, without responding to the person, it's going to give, you will not feel talking to that person again. Am I right? Like we won't feel like talking to that person again. But if that person is saying, yes, Anamika, tell me. Correct. So you meant that like you are feeling sad now. Am I right? So these kind of simple questions, these are paraphrasing questions, you know. So these things will actually encourage the client to talk to you, and the process, that resistance will go down, because the people with who are coming for counseling, they will have a lot of resistance, because most of the times they don't want to discuss their personal issues, because these are their personal things, right? So when we go to a person, we are not going with a lot of good happy things. We have a lot of personal things which is affecting us. So there will be a lot of resistance, thinking, should I share this or not, all these kind of things, right? But when they feel that the person, the counselor, is genuine, when they feel that the person is ready to accept me, things will work. Hope it answered you. I answered your question.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much. There is this question which is on the autistic children and regarding the parents, because but before this question, I would like to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Am I audible to everybody?
Maybe my internet is slow. Just
Yeah.
a second.
Let me know when you're able to hear. This is getting recorded. We can always edit it. Not an issue. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I can hear you.
So the questions that I have is most of the parents, once the diagnosis of the child, whether the child falls in the spectrum or has any other learning disability, when should they consult a counselor? Because the pediatrician would tell them that the child is missing milestones, or the child has missed multiple milestones together and needs to be consulted to a therapist. Is it the pediatrics who suggest the parents that they need to consult a counselor, or how do the parents reach to a counselor, and why should they seek a counselor's help?
Yes. So even if it's a learning a child with a special needs, so as I told you, the first thing to do is identification. So you're talking about things that happens after identification. So what's happening is, once the child is identified, mostly it takes time to reach to the right person. That is where actually parents miss. Usually I have heard parents talking to me saying that, yes, I went to this pediatrist, and he checked and he told that everything is perfect, everything is fine with my child, and then we left over there. We did not take forward and check like what is the difficulty with my child. So one thing I feel is, sometimes the pediatrician or the person that whom you are going may not be a professional in the other areas to understand the child's learning needs or the autistic needs. There are very good professionals, there is no doubt about it. But at the same time, there are people who are missing on it. That's what I have understood. So sometimes when the parent goes with a child with ADHD, what happens? The pediatrist is seeing the child only for 5 minutes or maximum for 10 minutes. And looking at the child, the doctor will make a judgment saying that, see, he's sitting quietly, there is no problem with the child. Okay, so sometimes those kind of comments can come, and parents will be happy to know that, okay, my doctor told that the child is completely fine. Then why should I go for one more assessment or things? So one thing I encourage all the parents to do is that you have to reach out to the right person. If you have a problem with your eye, you will not go to a lung specialist or a what do you say, or a normal MD doctor or an MBBS doctor, right? You will go directly to the person who is expert in that area. But when it comes to the difficulties the children are having, the neurodevelopmental disabilities, let me tell you, autism is not a mental health issue. It's a neurodevelopmental problem. So when the child is having neurological condition like that, Okay, so if you go to a neurologist, mostly the person will be able to pick the difficulty the child is able to, having. And the right person, if you're asking me, it's a clinical psychologist. If you go to a clinical psychologist for a proper assessment, because how do we find out if the child is having ADHD or autism or learning disability? It's only through standardized test, we will be able to find out if the child is having a learning disability or autism, or even if it's an ADHD. Imagine you doubt that you have BP. What will you do? Will you take a thermometer? No, you will not take a thermometer, because you know that it is to check your temperature, right? But you know that you have a BP apparatus to check your BP, and you will go and check. And if the doctor is taking a thermometer, maybe you will tell the doctor that, doctor, why are you taking a thermometer? I don't have fever, I have BP. Am I right? Yeah. So that's the same thing that we have to be very careful here, because there are standardized assessments. That's what I wanted to tell you here. There are standardized assessments to check if your child is having ADHD and which level it is. Is it a mild ADHD, or is it a moderate, or is it only inattention, or is it a hyperactivity, or it's a combination? Is the child is having ADHD or autism? So those areas, even the psychologist will take time to assess it's a ADHD or autism, because before the child is 3 or 4 years, it's very difficult to differentiate between ADHD and autism. Okay, so but they have assessments. That's what I wanted to tell you. There are different assessments, corner assessment for ADHD or CARS for autism. So all those things, who knows all those things? It's the clinical psychologist. It's the clinical psychologist area of expertise to understand or to check or to do the proper assessments for your child, to understand what is your child's level. So once we do that correctly, so one thing again I want to encourage all the parents to do is that if you find, or if you have some ideas about, or if you doubt, you have a question mark, most of the times as mothers our intuitions are correct. We know that, okay, something is going wrong with my child. Sometimes even your husbands may not agree. I'm telling you, because I know parents who are mothers completely understand, but fathers will still say that he is normal only. That is what I mean. He's fine, like just like other children, or he is not putting an effort, or you have to give more things. So finally it may be on your head saying that you are not giving this thing or that thing. But let me tell you, as mothers, we will have the right intuitions. If you have any kind of assumptions, or you feel that this could be the reason, or this, my child is behaving differently than others, go to the right person. That's what I wanted to tell you. Go to a clinical psychologist. You don't need a psychiatrist over there, because it's the clinical psychologist who will be able to do a proper assessment for you, for your child, to understand the level. And once the assessment is done, at the earliest, if it's autism, if the autism is identified or diagnosed for the child, it's a multidisciplinary team that your child needs. If you go only to a speech therapist, if the child is having speech delay, you need to go to a speech therapist. But it's not only speech therapist who will be able to help your child. The child may need an occupational therapist. The child needs to have his finger dexterity, finger movements, the fine motor movements, or it can be gross motor movements. So occupational therapist is needed. And even what do you say, if the child is showing a lot of behaviors, aggression, or the behaviors that you are not able to control, you need an ABA therapist who will be actually helping you applied behavior analysis, that's ABA. So if you have a ABA therapist, they will be able to teach you the behavior management techniques. How can you manage the behavior of the child at home or in the school or outside? So you need to check like what are the things, or you need to go for therapy with them. That is also one area. And another one is even a dietitian. That's what you have to understand, because these children with autism, what happens is like they have a lot of routine things. They do not like to eat everything. So because of that, they will lack a lot of micronutrients that they need for their body. Sometimes they will stick to only one particular meal every day, the same thing. Every day, give me morning this, afternoon this, lunch this. So whatever you give in between, they may not take. Mostly it will be vegetables and what our body needs. So you need to check with a dietitian to check like what are the things that I can try, or maybe it as a supplement, or it can be that something that the child will require in his body. Do a blood test or find out what are the things that my child will need. So all those things, so a dietitian's help also will be needed to support. And with all these things, let me tell you, This is from your side, but your school, the child's school should be ready to support your child. There comes the importance of a counselor or a special educator in your school. I mean, wherever your child is studying. If it's not there, as people who are doing a drive in autism awareness, let it reach out to the schools. Let you go to the schools and talk to the schools, and it's an inclusive community. Everybody is looking for. If your child has special needs, it shouldn't be that like you end up sending the child to a special needs school. It shouldn't be in that way. When the child is in a normal curriculum school, I'm telling you, I'm seeing that every day. I'm witnessing that. I'm a witness of the improvement and the progress the children are making, because they get the opportunity to talk to the children, the neurotypical children, and they get to socialize with them. They learn a lot. Even if they do not pick up a lot of curriculum, what's happening in the school, I'm telling you, they learn a lot just by interacting with students and with teachers. And they get the, so there comes the importance of a special educator. The special educator should be able to understand like what are the needs of the child. So from the assessment that you have done with the child, with the clinical psychologist, the special educator will be able to pick the goals that the person, the teachers have to work with the child. You're getting me? So what happens is they will make an IEP. IEP means individualized education plan. So that IEP implementation in the school is very important. For example, if the child is not able to sit for 5 minutes in one particular place, so the IEP will be giving ideas and strategies on what the teacher should do in a classroom to accommodate that child. It's not that the child should be always sent out to the counselor or saying that, oh, this child is not sitting, take out, or calling the parent and saying that your child is not behaving well, please take out the child. That's not the way. That is where the importance of a counselor or a special educator, that team should be there in every school, I am telling you. So if that is there, actually it becomes, the things will work, things will actually work, because the parent should be at one side, the teacher should be, or the school should be at the right side, and then in combination, if things come together, actually it will help the child's holistic development.
Right. Right. Thank you so much there. Sudha has some beautiful questions. I would request if Sudha, you would like to ask the questions.
Hi, ma'am. This is Sudha Kasi.
Yes.
From Salem. Ma'am, I have a question. Some autistic children doesn't know to laugh and cry. How to teach the emotions? I'm running a play school, ma'am. We are having some autistic students. They doesn't know to cry, laugh. How to teach the emotions for them?
Yes. The emotion is one of the areas that most of the autistic children will be struggling with. So because there are 3 areas the children are struggling. Mainly it's the children with autism. The one is the social interaction and the communication. How do they communicate? How do they interact with the people around them? Okay. And because of that, they will be having difficulties in identifying the emotions. So when you are having a play school, the children are very small. So what you can try if the child is with autism is, you need to have some flashcards with different emotions. It can be a flashcard where it should be the emotion. Imagine you are trying to teach the child happiness. So in the flashcard, you can show a face, a happy face. Okay. And then first let the child learn what is a happy face. And you can model the child how you smile when you are happy. And then slowly teach one by one the emotions through the flashcards or some pictures if you have, or some videos if you have. Okay. So whatever is accessible for you, using all those things, we have to slowly teach one by one. And then what you have to do is you show a scenario, like maybe for a scenario where one child is crying and it's a picnic sort of thing, one child is happy but one child lost something. Okay, so there we will learn to differentiate between different emotions. Then ask, okay, what is this child doing? So then help the child to talk about what they understand. Okay, so this is the way, like it's again, it will take some time, but actually they can make out. And nowadays there are many apps and all. If you have the access to the digital world, like you can go to different apps and you will get to, actually that's very interactive for these children, because that itself will ask them like, okay, I am happy, what are the emotions that you are having, or can you identify the emotions? Because nowadays I'm telling you, more than flashcards and all these handmade things. When it comes to the digital world, children are very interested. They are very interactive, and it will actually, it helps them in that way also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Other question, ma'am. Parents with autistic children are stressed. Say some ways to reduce their stress, ma'am. The
Yes.
parents are so stressed.
Yeah. What happens, when a child is identified, the parent will be the first person to have a lot of denial in the first place, because I don't want to accept that my child has autism. That's the first stage of any parent, because it's very difficult. If as a parent, we all can understand that it's very difficult to accept the fact that yes, my child is autistic. But at the same time, after a point of time, they will come into to understand or to accept the fact that yes, my child is autistic. So whenever I diagnose a child in my school, it's again, I'm telling, it's a normal CBSE curriculum school, but there are again and again we get to see a lot of identifications happening every year, or we can see that. So when things happen like that, or when I meet the parents, one thing I encourage most of the parents is to get educated in that particular area. For example, imagine your child is having autism. The first thing that you have to do is learn about autism, learn what it is. Imagine you have appendicitis, the pain in your stomach. The first thing what we all will do is we will go and research and find out, okay, what is appendicitis? What should I do? What will happen if it is there? Or is what the doctor, whatever he is saying, is it right or wrong? Is the surgery needed or not? We have everything in fingertips these days, right? We all have our mobiles and we tend to research and find. Now, the importance of educating ourselves in autism, or even if it's ADHD, in learning disability, only if you are educated as a parent, you will be able to help your child. Because whatever support that you are going to get from outside, it's secondary. The primary support should be from you. So I always encourage all the parents where I meet to take a small short course. Again, I'm telling, in online, everything is available these days. So in the online, you take a course on ADHD to understand like what ADHD is, why my child is not able to sit. If my child is not able to sit and learn, what is the other thing that I can try with the child? There are so many options. When the child is with autism, the child is not able to give you eye contact. Is it something that I have to work on, or is it just okay for my child not to give an eye contact for some time? Or what are the different things that I can try to help him to learn things in the class? What I can try. So before your teacher says you that this is how you have to support, we as a parent should be educated. Or if the parent is not able to read or understand those things, that is where again the communities like you people will come in. You can educate parents saying that this is what autism is, or this is how the child should be educated, or teaching should be happening in which way. And then another thing is, don't give up. The parents should be encouraged and motivated. Tell them, don't give up. There is a solution for everything. Again, I'm telling you, even if the children don't come out of autism, there is a large amount of progress that we can see in these children if there is a proper support for these children. So it's not the end of the life. It's not the end of the world. We have to support and we have to motivate these parents also in that way, because there are different things happening around the world. And for you, what God has given you is this to take care of it. And then, so those kind of motivation, when it goes from people, like they will be able to take it up. So the children, people, as I told you in the beginning, when we mentioned about counseling, they want someone to listen to. If you just sit and listen, ma'am, you just sit and listen to their concerns or the difficulties that they're going through, that will be enough for them.
Hi, I'm also a parenting coach, but specifically to the children or students with determination, if they are being bullied by the peer group at school or at home or in the play areas or whatever, so how should parents deal with that? Or the child would really get upset, or might react or get into a very different kind of a behavior, or maybe he gets inward, or maybe an explosion of emotions. How to handle that for a child with autistic needs?
Yes, If the child is with autistic needs, or even if the child is not autistic without any special needs, I'm telling you, bullying, if it's happening in the school, actually we need the support of school. We need the support of school. The first place, the awareness should happen. The first is the anti-bullying campaigns and all the things, like we can, again, I'm telling you, we will have to talk to the people to start with anti-bullying campaigns in the schools. So when it's happening for all the students, those times we have to, again, I'm telling you, we should not wait for these things to happen. We should educate them beforehand. We have to prevent it rather than happening and then going and trying to sort out things. So that is where we have to teach these children, even if these are children with autism, what is the meaning of bullying, or what is exactly is bullying. So those children will be able to come and tell you directly that, okay, this happened, or this is what I went through today, and this is how I am, these are my emotions, or this friend did this to me. So first of all, these children, what happens is they do not express it to us. Maybe it's only through behavior, some behavioral changes only we find out that something is wrong. That is why I'm telling you, educating them beforehand is very important. We have to tell them, teach them in the first place that, like, for example, if there is a fire, what do you do? So we give them some trainings on what you have to do. The same way I'm telling, if there is some bullying in the school, or where you are going to work at place, or it can be in any situation. So how we have to do, how we have to act upon it, how we have to say stop to it, and how we have to come out of it. So these kind of knowledge or that trainings should happen as a mother, or as a teacher, or as the from the society level, from the school side. That should happen. That's the first thing that we have to look into. And then if the child has gone through that, we need to again help the child to come out of it, again by expressing the emotions, or they have to look into their some, give them chance to express. Tell them not to hide any emotions whatever they are having, since they have gone through it. And we need to try to help the child to come out of it in a very good way.
So further to it, would a parent require the school counselor or the school, the clinical psychologist at the school, so as to say, with their help, can the child can be helped to overcome certain things if the child faces?
Especially, yes, because especially if it's a child with special needs, and if the child is in the, I mean, if it happened in the school, you need to inform the school, because it should not repeat, right? It should not repeat. So it's not okay, actually, just to hide it and we try to sort out things and finish it off. We need to inform the school, and we need to ask them also to take action so that they don't repeat. We need to help our child, that's right, but at the same time we need to talk to the school management, or the maybe a counselor over there, so that like they can actually have an small investigation on what happened and all those areas related to it.
So there is a question which has come, and I think it is relevant to all parents. The question is, I want to ask how fine it is to pamper the ADHD child. Is it fine to fulfill all his needs, or should we say no to some? And if it is so, then how to decide for which to fulfill and what not to fulfill? I know it's not an easy question to answer, but go for it.
Should we pamper or not? That's the question, right? Okay. If a child is with ADHD or with autism, without autism, with special needs, the parenting is a skill. The parenting is actually common sense, no doubt about it, but it's a skill as well. So just because the child is with special needs, it doesn't mean that we should not have any rules at home. Okay, it doesn't mean that like we have to give full liberty to the child, saying that, okay, you do whatever you want. Imagine there is just think that there is a sibling for that child and all the rules for the sibling, but for you, everything is fine. That's not going to work, actually. It will not work. Even if it's in our house also, like if there are two children, can be chances are that one child is with special needs and one is not. The rules should be rules, no doubt about it, because that's where the importance of parenting coming in. Children, even if the children are with autism, I'm telling you, they can understand things. They can make out what is wrong and what is right. So if you do not parent at that particular time in the right direction, they are not able to understand. Actually, they need more training, no doubt about it. So the disciplining part, yes, you have to do, no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that like you have to always watch and always jump and react for the child. Okay, that's also one wrong thing that we all do, as we call something as helicopter parenting. Okay, for each and everything, you are there. For each and every question asked to the parent, you are there for reacting or to respond for that particular child. That's not good. That's not going to help, even if the child is with special needs or without special needs. Even if the child is with autism or with any other learning issue or the special needs, I am telling you that is going to affect the child very badly. Why? Because the child is going to lose his self-confidence just because of that. The child is going to lose his the skills which will make him independent, because we need our children to grow as independent children. Like if the children with autism, I'm telling you, there are actually, as we say, it's a spectrum. The children with low intelligence, and it can be a child with high functioning autism children as well. So a high functioning autism children, they have a very good IQ. Only thing, when you interact with the child, I have a child where I deal with, like the child is an Asperger's syndrome. That means a child with high functioning autism, excellent singer, and he knows things, each and everything. He can understand everything. But in the classroom, he needs support. Why? Sometimes when there is a, for example, I can give you a small example. What happens in the school? The math teacher gives a question for all of them to solve. If this child is not able to understand the problem, or if he doesn't get the correct answer, he has the tendency to just shout from wherever he is sitting. No, this is not right. I'm not able to get it. Okay, so what we have to do at that particular time, we have to give them some tips on. So what I tried in my school is I gave them one list of things. I told him, like, if you're getting anxious, if you don't want to do things, or if you are stuck somewhere, what you have to do, look at the list that you're having. Which one you want to do? Do you want to go and read sometime in the library? Do you want to go and listen to a music for some time? Or do you want to just walk for 5 minutes and come back? Choose any one, and with teacher's permission, you can do it. So what we are doing there, we are helping the child to understand, yes, rules are rules. I can't sit and shout in my class because it's disturbing others also. But I need to comfort myself. So that's the time I have to pick one of those activities and do it. And I will comfort myself and I will come back, get back. So the same thing goes in at home also. So we have to be careful in how we address those needs. That's what. How do we discipline? That's important. Like maybe the discipline that you do for the other child may not work here. That's right. But at the same time, we have to find out ways. Maybe a star chart will work for this child. Maybe the other child may find the star chart. I think you will understand what it is. Like if the child is doing a behavior, how to give a chart or a star and encourage that child.
Yes,
the child
reward mechanism. Reward mechanism is what we
yes,
need to
like
work
an
on.
award mechanism, correct, rewarding mechanism. So a child with autism, maybe he will find it very interesting. Just do that, and at the end of the day, tell that you scored 10 stars, set a goal in the beginning, saying that you get 10 stars, you are going to get this. Give them the target, give them the goals, tell them what is going to be the reward, they will achieve it. These are the things like we can try out at home, and we can easily manage or be with our children happily, enjoying with them without thinking that, oh my God, I am devastated because I have this child, or no, that's not the way. Because if God has given you something, I'm telling you, I am a believer in God. That's why I'm telling you, if God has given you something, you have the strength to manage it. God will give you that. So that should be our strength and faith and thing to move forward.
That's a beautiful thought. And on this note, I would like to extend a big thank you to you and for spending so much time with us. So patiently, you answered all the questions. And yes, it's important to have an organized life for everybody and anybody. So rules have to be there, and we all must, decide and design our own rules based upon our child's requirement. So thank you so much on behalf of the Spectrum Autism team. I thank you once again, and thanks to everybody, all the parents and educationists who have come here tonight.